old boy, 2025, Shelter FootyCast, back live to your ears or your eyes, YouTube, podcast. Welcome back. Will Schofield here, taking you through all the biggest news, not only in Western Australia, but the Australian football landscape. And I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Mark Reddings. Hello, Skate.
Hello, Scully. It's been a big summer. We've both gone our separate ways. It's been a nice separation, but true love will never be distance, and that's where we're back.
What have you been doing?
I've had a few weeks holiday, went to the Gold Coast, went to the cricket in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Hey, had a good time. It's quite nice having weekends off. But, you know, we've missed footy, let's be honest. We had it on the weekend, and I know you've probably found out some dirt about me around the house.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, has there been any handyman sort of...
Nothing too elaborate, but, you know, these hands don't do a lot of manual labour, let's be honest.
If I can just share with the audience one story I did learn over the summer, just a little one, Skate,
sure.
That's all right. One of my favourites. Your beautiful daughters spend, you know, a lot of time babysitting our kids. Just a lot of credit to you and Victoria, actually. Brought them up very, very well. However, I did hear a story about, it must have been Liv and George's, given they're twins, their Year 12 ball, decided to have the girls around before they were going out, and then some parents came over. It ended up being quite a bit of a thing. Anyway, Victoria, who's doing her best to make sure everyone's having a good time, suddenly thinks, "Where's Mark?"
Bear in mind, the girls had their prees. They've gone out to their function, and then I think they're going to come back here to get changed before they went out to nightclub or whatever. So in that interim, I've sort of decided the prees. I just think of prees into quarter number 1, 2, 3. I sort of just kept going.
Jack's come out.
it was game on.
Bourbon's out.
A few friends there, but yeah.
So you were lost for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it was like a wildebeest out of the forest came lumbering out. Mark Reddings enters the door, and Victoria goes, "Where have you been, Mark?" And Skeeter, deadpan, goes, "Nowhere. Nothing's happened. I haven't been anywhere." So I didn't ask what had happened. "Where have you been?" And you, again, just straight as an arrow, "I don't know what you're talking about." She goes, "What about the fucking tree branch hanging off your head and all the blood coming from your forehead?" Skeeter had gone out the back for maybe a little Winnie Blue and fallen down a hill.
I had fallen. I'd taken a little trip, and I'd fallen. I didn't realise the dirt that was on my face and on my white shirt when I came back in, and a bit of a ripped shirt as well. But isn't it funny, these things happen to me, but nothing ever happens to you.
No.
It's just,
I live a very clean life, Skeeter. I just had Tom Barris's wedding.
No, I know. I heard of it. Yeah, I'm very well across that. Now you're buying limoncello by all accounts.
Excuse me?
Limoncello, is that what it's called?
Where are you getting this intel?
I've got contacts as well, given my daughter babysits your kids every second day.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I was absolutely inebriated. I forgot she was there. Okay, all right. Footy, we're going to have to be a short one today. It's my fault. I didn't get the communication across, although Skate was late, but it's still my fault that we're going to be short.
But the match simulation today,
yes,
Eagles and Richmond. Very big audience are going to be watching that one, I would have thought. That's a joke.
Oh,
no, you know what? It's interesting. Like even Saturday, I know we're going to jump into Saturday, but it was a fun day. It was I was staggered that the Fremantle Dockers were regarded as favourites for that. I just thought that the motivational level of the All-Stars was always going to be pretty high.
Well, I do want to touch on that, but yes, I'll be heading off to the West Coast Richmond game, and as you can imagine, I would know half of the players are playing for Richmond, so that'll be good fun to call. Hey, I just wanted to touch on a couple of big issues over our little break scheme. We're not going to go into what's happened in the off-season, but a couple of ones which I haven't had a big chance to chat about. I missed your Wild World of Sports on the week that happened, but Adam Hunter, Troy Selwood passing away, as well as
Dale Tapping.
Yeah. 1 week ago. It was a big week for footy. Clearly big connections to me personally, but the West Coast Eagles Football Club, and the AFL, fraternity in general. Hunts was a teammate of mine. Some great memories. Always used to look after us young blokes. When we came to the football club, he was a player that, as a teammate, just really looked after you. So, incredibly sad to lose him. Troy Selwood, lost I guess his battle to mental health. I think that's pretty clear. That's been across most media outlets over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, just incredibly sad. I was drafted a year before his younger brother Scott, played with his twin Adam. Joel lived across the road at my house in Geelong at a host family. Mum, after Dad's passing, spent a lot of time with Marie and Bryce, the Selwood parents, travelling over to West Coast watching. So, yeah, incredibly sad week for footy. And you know, I don't want to sort of do those, but at the time, men's mental health round got thrown out. We've got a lot of rounds for a lot of things in the AFL, and I think a men's mental health round, how we don't have that, and that needs to immediately be put on the agenda. And I'm not going to get into, you know, speaking about all the other rounds we have, but the fact that there's no men's mental health round in AFL, which is growing in female audience, but it's a male-dominated audience. I just think that feels right. I don't know if you want to speak on any of that.
Yeah, look, I'm not such a huge advocate for men's mental health round. If that happens, fine. I think it can't be just round 10 mental health. I think it has to be a broader push to get blokes in footy and life in general. But obviously, we're talking AFL related here, just to give them more support. Clubs are trying to do that. I know the AFLPA tries to do it. So yeah, a mental health round is fine in terms of raising awareness, but yeah, look, you look at what's happened to Troy and Joel and his brothers spoke so well at the funeral, and heartbreaking some of the words there. And Adam's funeral, I believe, is this Thursday down at Bunbury at the Footy Club. So yeah, there's just too young, but both guys, and obviously we're still not sure of how Adam passed, but certainly Troy is a bit more clear. Yeah, you're right. I think there's going to be a push for that. The AFL tiptoeing as to whether that's going to take place, but I think it has to be not just one round. It has to be sustained across not just the community, but footy, because blokes we're not great at.
Well, put a badge on every AFL jumper then, or put a mark, put a blue ring around socks. I don't know.
I think it's got a lot to do with, and you can speak, this is far too a shelter FootyCast to be expanding on this, but players that finish their careers the next 3 or 4 years, I'd imagine, are probably the toughest of their lives, given, even if you have been paid pretty well, the uncertainty. Very few who are paid well are going to get that same money, and very few that are paid moderately well know exactly their path, or some don't, and that's an issue.
Well, you see a lot of relationships break up, and you do see mental health issues for players. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's nothing to do with money. None of that is. You see someone break up, they go, the money's gone out.
It's structuring your life,
it's nothing to do with money. It's your routine, it's your structure, it's your purpose.
It's a habit. Work. I know work. Everyone gets bored of work, but at the end of the day, without it, if someone said tomorrow, and I've been made redundant, and you've seen me, it's not a pleasant experience. You've got to guts it out, but at the same time, you do go through some lows, and sometimes people don't have that support if they're coming out of an AFL career. So no, it's a subject worth chatting about, and obviously, unfortunately, we've got to talk about it off the back of two really sad and three sad deaths. Obviously, Dale was an illness related, but yeah, it's a big community footy, and let's hope we look after each other moving forward.
Last one that I think is pretty relevant just happened. Ken Hinkley to hand over the reins. Josh Carr at the conclusion of 2025. Port Adelaide, and then we're going to get into some West Coast and Fremantle news. Do we like this, or do we not? History
doesn't say it generally pans out well. I mean, there's obviously a couple of cases. The most recent, I guess, is Longmire and Cox. Although, that was always going to happen. Did it come a little earlier than expected? Possibly, but that we've still got no idea whether Cox is going to be a success. But surely the transition was smooth.
Well, because they didn't give Cox, they didn't announce it a year before. The reason this isn't going to work, and I'll be stronger on it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree,
mate. So number one is for players, you can say what you like, but now they're talking to assistant coach Josh Carr in a meeting.
Well, they're planning their future.
And they're like, well, am I talking to head coach or assistant coach? And Ken Hinkley, is he just a mate now? He's gone in 12 months. Do I need to impress him? Not really. And I think also as a head coach, it's an extremely different operation than if you're an assistant coach. So Josh Carr, every assistant coach that comes into that head coaching realm, that they change. And interestingly enough, I spoke to Sam Mitchell about this, who was at Tom Barris's wedding, and he said one of his biggest things that he's trying to do as a head coach is to try to be like assistant coach Sam Mitchell. He said it's something that he thinks about a lot, and I just think a lot of guys get this wrong. Josh Carr won't be the same coach as he is right now, and it's just I think
He can't be.
A 12-month handover period. It's just no clarity.
Well, you think
Don't
of the
like
Malthouse Buckley, you think of, Mitchell and Clarkson. Let's be honest, I'm not sure what their relationship's like now, but it was messy.
But just imagine you're the head of anything, and then you've got your little whippersnapper for 12 months running around knowing that he's got your job. You think you're going to be coaching at your very best if you Ken Hinkley?
I think if you Ken Hinkley, it depends what age you are. Now, Ken is probably thinking he's got a role in footy moving forward, and I probably think he does. I'm not sure in what area, but if you're at the end of your thing, like, you know what, I've done 20 years of coaching, I'm just about to sail off into the sunset, then I think you'd take pride if they're close enough for him to bring Josh Carr through. I'm just saying that's...
Just finish it. If you're done, you're done.
Yeah,
why do we need a 12-month handover period?
That's not an argument I can debate too strongly with.
Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, right here on the Shelter FootyCast. Okay, very good.
Jaden,
nice.
You know what? He's found a razor during the summer as well, which is good.
Jaden's just
still got those tattoos, stupid tattoos in your arm.
They didn't come off. Didn't come off at the beach over summer. Very good. All right, Skeet, you were at this one, I'm presuming.
Yes.
Indigenous All-Stars v. the Freo Dockers, 16-12-108, defeat 9-11-65 in front of 38,000 people.
Yeah, good numbers. Entertaining game. We always knew the All-Stars would have some tricks, and their speed and their pressure was terrific. Let's just park that because, there's two issues. One, do we believe that this should be an annual event? For instance, in Perth, should it be biannual? Should it be every 5 years? That's the question now that will bump around because of the numbers were great.
There's 40,000 people there, so that's a pretty easy
I know it's a tick, but does it mean every year? Because there's a debate on that. Well, because should it be every 2 years? That's the question being asked. Should it be every year?
Yes.
It's It's all dependent on the players. If the players continue to back it and support it, then I can't see it being an issue.
I can tell you who'll say yes is the Indigenous All-Stars.
Yeah.
Those boys love playing
Michael
together.
Walters
They'd do it every second week if they could.
Michael Walters was such a factor in getting those guys together. So, look, I said every year. Lee Spur I was with said no, every couple of years. And that's been the argument that's been put forward, and it's worth chatting with. But what are you going to have in that other year? Go back to playing Melbourne and Fremantle and Melbourne on a
Richmond and West Coast on a Monday morning.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, that being said, the other one for Fremantle, just in brief, because that's the storyline as opposed to the All-Stars, which was terrific, but a one-off in terms of how often they get together a year. Interested by the coach saying we didn't want to show our hand before round one in terms of some of their game style. I don't quite understand that, because I would have thought if you trust your game style and what you're going to produce this year, and you've got one more practice match to do it, I mean, assume they're going to show it against Melbourne. And look, I can understand on Saturday night players being not as... You don't want to hurt anyone, obviously. And it was one of those games where it was not bruise-free, but it was... You know what I'm saying?
Mate, let me tell you, that JL, who I'm a big fan of, would have got home after that press conference and gone, what have I done there? That is just the biggest load of hogwash.
The game style stuff I'm talking about?
What is worried about? What teams seeing what?
No.
It is just so dumb. They're going to play in 3 weeks' time in round one.
Just play the game that you were going to use this year. Use the style. I mean, you know what? I just think that's overthinking it in my mind. That's what he's saying.
I just think he would have been trying to deflect a bit from the fact they got smacked. Well, that's a smacking. You know, they didn't have half their team in. And some of them are playing against them.
And they're playing a team that's a very unique team.
Correct. So, but I don't think as a coach he would have wanted to come and say that. None of our players are playing. So he would have been like, well, how can I deflect from the fact we just played like shit? And that's what he's done. Now, just cut through all the crap. Mate, you take every opportunity you can to play against opposition, whether it's the Indigenous All-Stars, the teams seeing what they've been working over the summer. Mate, West Coast Richmond's getting broadcast. There's been games all weekend getting broadcast. So, and no AFL teams sitting around going, geez, like I'm going to figure out Fremantle's game plan. We'll beat them every week just because you see them play.
Or down the ground vision.
It's just garbage. That's just complete garbage.
I agree with that. And bottom line is, if he come out and said, you know what, we had a game style we've practiced over summer. We didn't execute it in this game. We're going to work on it, and we're going to hopefully show that in the next week and then in 2 weeks against Melbourne, and etc. So didn't like that. Their forward line still... obviously, they couldn't kick a goal in beautiful conditions. They were struggling in that area. I'm not going to... You know what? You tell me the results of the pre-season last year.
No.
West Coast. No one's going to remember it.
No.
As long as you come out in round one.
I think we lost to Freo by 100 in 2018. Then we got done by 100 points 2 weeks out from the start of the season. So it's not the result.
It's a method. And the method was, it looked...
This was their practice match. Like, this was their West Coast Richmond. This was their Essendon.
I think the Fremantle-Melbourne game will be far more what we're looking at.
When is that?
That's, I think the long weekend in March. So
Tell you what, Kozzie Pickett spending a bit of time over here in the West against Fremantle.
He does, and his press conference didn't make you think, if you're a Demon supporter, that he's sounding more and more like it. Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. Well, but you talk about the NRL all the time. They do this all the time. They go, I'm signing with the Broncos next year. No.
But he said at a press conference that he stays in touch, blah, blah, blah. You're right. Then he backed away when he was under pressure.
So what if he got asked direct, are you going to go to Fremantle? And he just came out now and said, yep, I'm going to give my best for Melbourne this year, and then I'm going to Freo.
If he can get there. I mean, it's not as simple as saying...
But let's just say he did. Would you be carrying on about that, or would you be happier with the honesty?
I'd be happy, but I can tell you now, the AFL community is so... They're still caught in the 1980s in that sense. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people...
Oh, I'd love to hear him say that.
Yeah, so I'm going to give 120% to Melbourne this year.
Yeah. Imagine if he played really well, and it's no different to a Luke Jackson playing in the Premiership in 21.
We all knew he was coming home.
Yeah, he left. And he played really well.
Dangerfield going from Adelaide to Geelong. Everyone knew it was on the cards, but you had to bluff your way through it.
Oh, he's gone. Kozzie's gone.
Yeah.
Kozzie's gone. Chad Warner's going to West Coast as well, by the way. Just throw that in there.
West Coast for Warner.
Yeah.
Pickett.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a good watch this year with players moving over here in the West and Freo, because I dare say on West Coast side of things, I'm not sure we've got too much to look forward to.
I'll tell you what, though, I know this is very basic, but the weather, 34 degrees on the weekend, I could just see some of the WA boys going, oh, geez, imagine just being able to live in this every second.
That's what happened in the Gold Coast in the hub. I'm surprised Gold Coast didn't pick more players up
really?
after. Oh, it was just so good.
Yeah.
Burley Pav. All right. So, Skeeter, that is the Freo game. I think we'll put that in the bin, though. But Jai Simpkin winning the medal after his pop passed away.
Horn Francis, I think if he played, I know he's got some silk around him in Butters and Rosie, but he's got a Brownlow medal next to his name. I think if he can,
mate, I don't know why don't him like he's Dangerfield. He's literally Dangerfield.
He's a genuine gun.
Probably a bit better.
Mate, he's a superstar. I know you're going to do the game today. No Reed. That's Harley, but there's going to be Archer. I want you to keep an eye on Archer.
Yeah,
for me, okay?
I'm hearing good things about him.
I've liked him in the waffle. He's got a size about him. Bear in mind, even if he can just break into the AFL and play a few more games this season, I'm not as downcast about the Eagles as you are, but maybe you're smarter than me.
McGovern, Waterman, Cripps all being rested. Oscar Rallen, I don't think is playing. They're missing a lot of players already, and I think the real issue with West Coast is their depth on their list. They still have top-end talent. This is the same as last year, but if any of those guys are missing time, Elliot Yeo he's out to the middle of the year, by the way. And if I have to keep calling out clubs, and I'll start right here in Western Australia, for garbage medical reports, Yoey's had a syndesmosis operation, and I've seen, we're hoping for him to be back in the first month of the season.
Not happening.
It's not happening. No. Why not just come out and say, he's going to be round 12. It's a 10 to 12-week injury, round 12, and he's back any earlier.
About to say, why don't you say, look, the realistic, and you know what? If he comes back in round 8, for whatever reason, just, you got great news, he's ahead of schedule. How does that affect?
Instead, we'll be week 4 and we'll be going, where's Elliot Yeo? What's Elliot Yeo doing? And he'd be doing strides out the back of bloody Mineral Resources Park.
But this is the footy department, maybe not the media department. I mean, we had troubles this week trying to get any Indigenous All-Stars onto Wide World of Sports on radio.
Wow.
It was like pulling teeth. So the AFL, there's some good people there. I know that, but there was some holes in the way they went about it.
Skeeter, I know you, intermittently listen to the Shelter FootyCast, but we actually had Michael Walters and Bobby Hill on the Shelter FootyCast on Thursday.
Well done.
We had a 15-minute interview in person.
Couldn't get anywhere near on radio because
who did I say? Bobby Hill.
Who'd you have?
Brad Hill.
Oh, Brad Hill. I couldn't get, seriously.
They're all guns.
And one of the reasons why we couldn't get one on Friday night, for instance, because the young lady couldn't hear the interview and she didn't know what questions were going to be asked. So that's why I just about... you move on.
Correct. So, interesting to see what happens tonight. I've got 2 minutes left, Skeeter, so I'm going to have to run a second.
Yeah, it's fine.
Richmond West.
You think I'm worried about leaving in 2 minutes?
I'm just worried about our audience, the people we're talking to. Remember, we have people that do
but it's only frigging February. Don't burn your chocolates early in the season.
I'm looking forward to watching. Not a lot, to be honest. I just think this would be a god-awful game. But Key defenders Sandy Brock and James Van Ez, plus midfielder Jack Henderson. So these are the kids trying out for an SSP spot. They've got 2 spots. Those 3 blokes are living in a house together, so it's like Survivor. One of them's going to get kicked out. Sandy Brock, I played with at Peel Thunder. Impressive.
Hang on. When did you play at Peel Thunder last?
2021, when he got drafted to the Gold Coast. Well, you think I'm lying?
No. I'm just trying to think. No, I'm just trying to. So 4 years ago.
2021, and he got drafted to the Gold Coast. He's been there for 3 years.
3 years, okay. So he's 20.
Impressive. He's like a gazelle. Like, he's 196 and runs like the wind. You'll like him.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about James Van Ez. And Jack Henderson, brother of my best mate's wife. So my best mate's brother-in-law, Jack Henderson, best on ground in the VFL Grand Final. I'll just tell you.
He's a little bloke.
I'm going to be doing
quick.
my very best to get him on a list today. That's pretty much my number one focus, calling on KO.
Is he worth an AFL?
He won the best on ground in the grand final.
Best on, I saw it.
So, I looked across players of his size in the AFL. He's like a Zach Merritt, Lockie Neal, Caleb Daniel is smaller, but he's a small midfielder accumulator, elite skills.
So why isn't he being picked up already?
Too small.
Is that but why do we keep saying that?
Yeah, I know.
If you get the Darcy Jones...
He'd run almost a 6-minute 2K. He'd have the best 2K at West Coast.
Mate, Darcy Jones went from districts to the Giants. Anyway.
So that's why. So, I've had intel on him. He's been training since the day after the grand final for just this opportunity.
Good citizen, obviously.
Yeah, good citizen, country kid from near New South Wales, Victoria border. I just think more players like this need opportunity. He's been trying his guts out. He's been performing regularly. He can play well on the big stage. Like a VFL Grand Final, if you can be best on ground there, you can play AFL. I can guarantee you. It's just whether or not you get the opportunity. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Liam Ryan, Tim Kelly, Cohen Livingston will be out given they played in the All-Stars game. And Skeeter, that is almost all we have done.
No feedback yet, positive or negative, which is good to hear. The world's still ticking around, and we're back on every Monday or now? What are we doing?
Mondays and Thursdays.
We're back this Thursday.
Yeah, you've got a busy schedule.
Yeah, a bit
You're
on.
a bit of a, I would say one of the bigger media operators in the state.
This is from a bloke. I'm doing a radio show every night now on 6PR. That on a Wednesday night, Will Schofield. Yep, I'm locked, loaded the whole year. You sure? Okay. I reckon I've seen him once in the first 5 weeks, there from 5 to 7. But, eventually he'll turn up.
Skate. All right, back to your spreadsheet for you, mate. Looking forward to seeing you on Channel 7 on 6PR, on Zelda FootyCast.
Associated networks around the country.
And the Mandarin Netball 4th Award.